Underage drinking, aside from being illegal, is a widespread public health concern. According to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, nearly 9 million kids between the ages of 12 and 20 admit to drinking within the past month. Just over 5 million of those teens were binge drinking, while more than 1 million of them were drinking heavily. Not only is that dangerous, but 5,000 people under the age of 21 die each year due to an alcohol-related injury. We're talking underage drinking concerning teenagers, but when did the problem really start? Was it 10 years ago when they first asked you what alcohol was? Was it when they asked to try a sip of your beer? Well, some researchers say yes. Researchers found that children who have sipped alcohol by 6th grade are about 5 times more likely to have a full drink by the time they're in high school, and 4 times more likely to binge drink or get drunk.
A dad says, well, I want to be the first one to give my kid that beer, and they consider it a rite of passage. Kids who get that first alcoholic drink from their parent, by 9th grade, they're drinking their own drink, on their own or at a party, and they feel comfortable with it because it's been normalized by their parent that it's an okay thing to do.
Lavisa also says letting your child take a swig of your alcoholic drink could create mixed signals from parents who say you shouldn't drink until you're 21.
And when they have that permission, why would they not want to, my mom was okay with me drinking. That's exactly what they're going to think. And when it's been made available by a parent and more accessible, then that kid is a lot likelier to drink.
Lavisa conducted a survey on how children view drinking alcohol. In 2010, almost 50% of students said they had easy access to alcohol, but now that number dropped to 30%. The survey showed that by age 13, most of the students had tried alcohol and gotten drunk. Substance abuse counselor Pace Lawson says it all depends on the environment the child lives in.
If you look at the reason behind the drinking and the environmental conditions surrounding the drinking, then yeah, it's going to increase the chance of them developing a drinking problem. Let's say the mom and dad are alcohol abusers and they've got a bunch of Sprite cans and a bottle of whiskey out, and the 13-year-old in the house has been given a beer by his dad. So he's in an environment where alcohol abuse is common.
Experts urge parents to send a clear message about drinking and to make sure children can't get their hands on any alcohol when mom and dad aren't home. Sometimes exposure to alcohol at a young age comes in a different form, the form of an alcoholic parent. Today, Delaware First Lady Carla Markell shares a story of her mom as she was growing up. Jimmy?
Yeah, Lisa, Carla Markell says she was just 5 years old when she noticed something was off with her mother's behavior. Years later, she would find out that something was an addiction to alcohol. Today, she wants kids and parents alike to know there are ways to overcome addiction, and she's trying to find methods to help children stop their cycle before it gets started. Carla Markell joins us now from Dover with how. Good afternoon, Mrs. Markell. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here today.
So 5 years old. Tell me your story.
Well, when I was about 5 years old, or maybe even a little bit younger, my mother was a single mother. She had a few friends that she was, having a lot of partying times with, I would say. Yeah. She was also addicted to prescription drugs at the time, so the combination of the two made for some pretty erratic behavior that both my brother and I would witness on a daily basis. I do want to say my mother is now 37 years sober and very happy for me to share this story. I just want people to know that I tell this story with love and a lot of appreciation for my mother, who is now sober and willing for me to share the story. But so going back to it, it was a very traumatic time. I mean, we never knew what to expect. We didn't have food a lot of times, or we didn't have clean clothes. We didn't have a healthy home in terms of the environment that we were living in. We had a lot of unhealthy people in our lives every day. It was definitely a traumatic time.
37 years sober. That is spectacular. Absolutely wonderful. How is your relationship with Mom now?
It's very, very good. We're very close. My mother has continued to struggle with chronic depression throughout her whole life, but I have learned through my years to understand it as a disease and something that she can't control or necessarily cure, but what I can learn how to deal with is my reaction to her behaviors. And as I've learned to manage my own behaviors in a way that's more constructive, our relationship has really gotten to a much healthier, much better place. She's doing well today at 85.
That's terrific. So I understand that being this close in your relationship, that makes you in danger as well for becoming that type of addictive behavior?
Well, the statistics show that about 80% of children of alcoholics either marry one or become one. So that's a very high statistic. And in my opinion, the thing that has most helped me is understanding that and learning about the signs and symptoms and the likelihood and making sure that you choose healthy relationships.
Your position as First Lady of the state of Delaware, being married to the governor, is a wonderful opportunity for your message to be heard, and I understand he has helped you a lot.
He's been wonderful. He's been a force of constant love and support. He's just the finest human being I know, and his compass is just so solid that he's been a great, stable source for me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story now and getting this out so that people understand that you understand. So you're standing behind the campaign, Drinking Hurts Thinking. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, the reality is that alcohol and substances of all kind do brain damage, and it does hurt thinking. But beyond that, if people are using drugs and alcohol as a way to avoid confronting painful situations or real relationships and feelings, they're just prolonging the ability to actually face something and deal with something. So I believe very strongly that you have to face problems head on, and no matter what it is, you're better off just being honest about it and facing it in a very straightforward way.
So if you were talking to a child whose parent or parents are fighting addiction, what would you say to them?
So with elementary kids, I would just be very simple about it. I would just say, look, sometimes parents do unhealthy things, and you recognize that, but that doesn't mean you have to be a part of it. And you can go in your room and close the door. You can go to a friend's house and go to a place where you feel safe. If you have a relative you can call and you feel safer with that relative, trust your instincts and find a safe place. And that's what I did. I found friends who had parents who were very good to me. So I would go to their homes. So to a high schooler, I would probably say a very similar thing, to make healthy choices around their friendships that they choose, and to try to find role models in adults that were very supportive of them, people that are healthy. For them, to choose adults in their lives that are healthy to be with, but that they should start going to Al-Anon meetings and learning about addiction, learning what their genetic predisposition is for it, so that they can be as informed as they can as they make choices around their own use of drugs and alcohol, but also the relationships that they're choosing in their lives. Because as I said, a lot of people who are raised in a family with addicts tend to choose partners unknowingly and unwillingly. They don't intend to do that, but they choose patterns that are familiar to them.
Right.
So the key, in my opinion, is really breaking these patterns. And if you can identify what they are and kind of see the red flags early on, you have a much better shot at breaking the cycle.
I know it's been a little difficult to share all this, but again, thank you for stepping out and sharing these stories so other people can get better. First Lady of Delaware, Carla Markell. For more information about the Drinking Hurts Thinking campaign, just visit our website, WDOC.com, and click on our picture there at the top of the page. A lot of people are working toward curbing underage drinking. And this weekend here on Delmarva, thousands are attempting to defeat breast cancer. This weekend, you have the opportunity to help the Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition through a fun community 5K. Up next, we're going to hear about one woman's steadfast involvement in the group and how you can help fight too. Or maybe you're fighting back pain after getting back out in the garden this spring. A little later on, we're going to hear about a treatment the doctors say really works. Delmarva Live, we'll be right back.